Good morning and welcome to another acysecurities market review. Today we're going to be speaking about the pound dollar on an hourly and a daily chart, but also looking at what the news is for ahead of today. So as you can see on the chart behind me right now, we have the pound dollar on a daily chart. Now I've brought this chart up for a purpose. Now notice that here and here we're seeing resistance at the same points in time, except the difference is this was a year ago. Now, whilst it's a year ago, price is still range bounding in the same places, and I'm hoping that what we'll see is the same sort of price action in the same places. So over here, look out for movement and bounces around this 200 pip range here. Now, if we have a look at the hourly chart, you'll be able to see what it's actually looking like again. We've got our top bar line here, and we've got that middle dotted one as well. So these are two important places that you might be able to consider looking for a reversal such as this down here. We have a double bottom pattern, which has turned out exactly as I sort of thought it would, but unfortunately it occurred overnight. So I'd marked it up and we weren't able to see it straight away. But today we can see it in hindsight. Now, I've drawn this trend line down the top here, giving an indicator of where we might get some resistance, but now it's turned to support. This is on the other side. And a little bit more on this double bottom though. So just to give you guys an idea, I've done a bit of a markup on it. And it shows the neckline here, where I would have placed a stop loss, where I would have placed a take profit. And how I would work my way through this we'll cover in another video shortly. But it has worked out as we sort of predict, or how you tend to work with the methodology when it comes to a double bottom pattern. For the day ahead, we've got this being yesterday, today moving to here, and this being last Friday, we actually have a Japanese bank holiday. So we'll cover that up next in just a moment. Now, talking a little bit more about that Japanese bank holiday, we did cover it a little bit yesterday, but it's for National Foundation Day. And you should expect to have a quieter than normal Asian session. But for more on the news side of things, at 11 a.m. we have the Australian dollar with the National Australia Bank Business Confidence Survey. It's going to be a low impact event, so don't expect too much on the Aussie there today. At 8:30 p.m. tonight, however, we have 8 different releases for the pound occurring at the same time. Now, they are all related to GDP preliminary figures, but we are likely to see a little bit of an impact coming from them. The preliminary GDP has a larger impact than the final one. As the figures tend to stay the same, you will not likely see new information in the final. It may just be changes in the weighting that they use towards some of those figures. However, we're seeing last time that these numbers came out, the previous was a 0.4% growth, and the forecast is expected to be 0.0. So if we get any variation around that, then we might see some movement, but let's keep an eye on it and see how it goes later in the day. But in addition to that, the remaining pound news events that are occurring are all coming out related to manufacturing and the GDP itself. Some of these numbers may actually end up being in the final GDP report. It's just that they're released separately. Now, the other piece of news that we have is from the US, and that is the NFIB, or National Federation of Independent Businesses, and their Small Business Index. Now, it's also likely to be a low impact event, and what really happens with that is that the NFIB are small businesses in the US, which are businesses from 1 to 250 people, to rate how they feel about the current economic circumstances and how their businesses are traveling. Now, if you would like to ask any questions about some of the content I've covered today, or perhaps even about news events or upcoming things, feel free to send me a message at talk2al@acy.com. And of course, you're most welcome to write a message in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.